It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of November 18th, 1994. Got a lot of movies to get to, 6 of them to be exact, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Star Trek Generations.
In space, there is no beginning and no end. But in one uncharted corner of our galaxy is a corridor to another world. A nexus where time and space collide, past and future connect. And two generations will meet to join forces in a battle to save the universe.
I take it the odds are against us and the situation is grim.
You could say that.
Sounds like fun.
Group 1, engage! Let's go! Target their bridge!
Full disruptors!
Make it quick!
Star Trek Generations.
So, of course, Star Trek Generations is the sort of the bridge gap in the Star Trek movies. The original cast had done 6 movies already, and the next set of movies were going to center around the Next Generation crew. The Next Generation series had just ended a few months prior to this, and what better way to start it off by having this bridge where you have the original Captain, you have Captain Kirk coming in and joining Captain Picard, and then basically passing the baton off. I mean, you have two legendary captains of the Starship Enterprise, past and present, coming together on the big screen. I mean, that trailer sold you alone. It looks like he's part of the adventure and all that, and he's not really. In fact, he doesn't even really meet up with any of the other members of the Next Generation team. He just only meets up with Patrick Stewart's Captain Picard, and yeah, so already that's kind of a false marketing right there. But I'll say this though, the movie isn't terrible. There are definitely some aspects about it that do work, but you built this up as this epic crossover. You've got two of the most significant sci-fi characters coming together, and it eventually comes down to just one scene in which Captain Kirk, I keep saying Captain, in which Kirk and Picard are making breakfast, they're having a conversation, riding horses, and then that's it. Then the next scene, you have Kirk and Picard fighting with the villain Sauron, played by Malcolm McDowell, and Kirk doesn't do a whole lot, really. He's just kind of a distraction, really, and he ends up dying when it's all said and done. So this epic meet-up of these definitive Star Trek captains ends with one of them dying in a not-so-spectacular climax, and literally copying George Takei's "Oh my" as his dying words. I mean, is that really what you were waiting for when you saw this movie? On top of that, there's definitely a story that would work here. I think that anybody that wasn't even a Star Trek fan would like to see the original crew meet the Next Gen crew, and that seemed to be the original plan, too. I think that was the original idea. The first script they had, it was going to be Shatner, Doohan, Walter Koenig, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelly, but they all decided not to appear in the film, and they felt like the script had a lot of problems to it. They couldn't get Nichelle Nichols to come back either, and so basically the only people that came back for even the brief parts in the beginning were I can't remember. No, it was Scotty and also why can't I remember who it was now? Doohan. It was here I go again. Chekhov, Scotty, and Kirk. Good lord. Like, I'm just having this brain freeze right now. Just as I was about to say the names, it just completely went away. But no, it was Chekhov, Scotty, and Kirk in the opening, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the only one that, it's like I said, the only one that comes back at all at the end of the film is Kirk, and even then, there's like a huge gap between the first act of this movie and the time that Picard meets Kirk, and it's just like, there's a huge chunk of movie there where it's just the Next Generation crew. And on top of that, they didn't get a director that could make action films work. I mean, David Carson is more known for what he did with the Star Trek universe directing episodes of Next Generation as well as Voyager. He hasn't directed a movie since, going back to mostly TV work, and you needed to get somebody kind of like what you did with the other movies, like a Nicholas Meyer or Leonard Nimoy, someone who knows how to direct action for a film and also manages to blend it with a lighter tone of comedy and drama to make it work. And he just didn't seem like the right choice here. There is a lot of plot holes in the story, too. Like, you can easily predict right away in the beginning that Kirk has to come in and assist the new captain, who's played by Ferris Bueller's friend from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Alan Ruck. But the ship has a lot of things missing and wouldn't be installed by Tuesday, as they say in a lot of this movie. It's just kind of like, so why didn't you wait until then to actually have this unveiling? I mean, it's just like, there are a lot of huge plot holes about this. Like Soren's obsession with the Nexus. You know, if he's so obsessed with the Nexus, why doesn't he just do what Cybok did in Final Frontier and just grab somebody's starship, just take it in the Nexus and be like, okay, we do that. And it's just like, well, kind of in the movie, they do kind of explain that all the ships that go into the Nexus are either destroyed or severely damaged. So, yeah, there's a chance he wouldn't survive, but at the same time, the dude is still the bad guy, and wouldn't that really be that big of a deal? But, of course, we wouldn't have a movie to get to, but, I guess Sauron could have just gotten a spaceship and wore a spacesuit out into the Nexus and just go in there, or hell, they have transporter beams, just put Sauron in the transporter beam, and boom, he's there. You would expect the two guys that wrote this to understand the possibilities at hand here. Even some of the action scenes as a whole aren't really all that spectacular, with the main exception of the Enterprise getting taken down by the Klingons. I mean, that's still something that still feels very genuine. It's something done with mostly practical effects. It still looks incredible after all these years, and that leads to stuff I do like about the movie. The visual effects, for the most part, are still very impressive. They do give the movie a bigger feel from the TV show, and a lot of the action, and even though the action sequences aren't that strong, the visuals do make up for it. Chemistry overall with the cast is very good. I liked it. Is like, even though the scenes with Kirk and Picard aren't all that great, you still get a lot of fun watching Shatner and Stewart working off each other. The dramatic moments are nicely handled as well. I like the way they handle Picard's story with his family and all that. And it's a very mixed bag of a movie. It's a film where there's a lot of good, interesting ideas. There's a lot of good set pieces and all around. But it's tied down to a lackluster script with a lot of plot holes, bad music, bad action sequences, and kind of a waste of a good crossover. It certainly isn't the best movie for the Next Generation team to start the film series on, but at least to their credit, the movies that came after this got better. Okay, maybe the next movie got better, and then after that, not so much. But at least the next movie did turn out to be a much better film, and we'll get to that one in '96. But yeah, Star Trek Generations is a real mixed bag, to say the least. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, finally, and that is Jean Reno starring in Luc Besson's Leon the Professional.
Let's talk business. This guy comes to town every Tuesday. Are you free Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm free Tuesday.
You can't stop what you can't see.
This guy came from the outside. He was a pro. He was fast.
In the art of the kill, Leon was the master.
Somebody's coming up. Somebody's serious.
He never missed a hit. He never got caught.
You're indestructible. Bullets slide off you. You play with them.
And above all else, he never had a reason to care. Until now.
I like these calm little moments before the storm.
My family was shot down by DEA officers.
3 kids here. One of them is missing. Find her.
Please open the door. Please.
From the director of La Femme Nikita.
Don't help me, I'll die tonight. I can feel it.
An innocent girl with no one else to turn to.
What exactly do you do for a living?
Cleaner.
You mean you're a hitman? Cool.
A perfect assassin.
I need you to help me, Leon. I want to get those dirtbags who killed my brother.
With someone to finally believe in.
Change ain't good. Remember that, Leon. I will.
They're about to come face to face with the cop who's crossed the line.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean, everyone?
Okay, so something I never knew about this particular film is that I always thought it was a remake of an older film by Luc Besson, and they brought him in to direct the American version of it. But no, this is an original concept of a film, even though the premise has been done to death several times since this movie came out. I think A Proud Mary, but unlike that movie, which is an utter waste of a film, this movie really does make it work well. You like the characters of you're following, like John Reno playing the hitman, Natalie Portman playing the little girl that's in this, and Gary Oldman plays a great villain, even though he has a lot of good over the top moments, like that scene in there where he's talking about getting everybody. He's screaming at the top of his lungs, "Everyone!" Like he's enunciating the word so that he means everyone. Get everyone here, and it's just like. It's a funny scene. It's a very funny scene that's probably was meant to be taken seriously. But how can you not laugh whenever you hear Gary Oldman say that like that? It's just like, overall, yeah, this is a very fun action movie. It's a ton of fun to watch. Has a lot of great action sequences, a great visual style to it. Some really good music, good casting all around. I enjoy this movie a whole lot. Leon the Professional is a great film. So. Anyway, let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is the remake of Miracle on 34th Street.
If you've ever seen a shooting star, held a newborn baby in your arms, or made a wish that came true, you know miracles happen every day. You just have to know where to look. This Christmas, expect a miracle.
This is probably one of the most underrated Christmas movies ever made. I mean, I know probably going into this movie there was a lot of people that were dreading it because how dare you remake a classic film like Miracle on 34th Street, and in a way, yeah, they're kind of right, but at the same time, they were able to find a lot there to work with. They were able to find a lot of ways to modernize the story and actually kind of make it better than the original film at parts. Like, I went into this movie very much thinking that I probably will enjoy it. I won't think it's probably anything near as good as the original film, but I find myself enjoying this one maybe a little bit more than the original film. It's very close, but like they do a really good job of remaking this story to a modern generation, and it's a well-made film. I think Richard Attenborough fits the role of Santa Claus here very well. Mara Wilson fits the role of the little girl here very well. I like Elizabeth Perkins and Dylan McDermott playing the love interest in here. You have J.T. Walsh, James Remare, Robert Prosky in here. Just a phenomenal cast in here. And John Hughes does a very good job of modernizing the story and making it work for a new generation. And I like the way they actually changed the ending around where it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel hammy, or it doesn't feel like it's just sent there to change they're just changing it because they feel like they need to change it. No, they actually have a purpose for changing it around here. And I like that it actually serves a purpose to the actual story here. Not to say that the one in the original film is bad. It's a classic ending, but what they do here is actually very unique and very different. And I like what they did here, and it doesn't feel manipulative or forced. Nothing about this feels forced onto you, like it's something that they want you to get a cheap emotion out of. They're actually trying, and it actually does work for the most part. How many times can I actually say actually? But yeah, this is one that I don't think gets as much attention as I think it does. I think it has grown a little bit of a following now that Disney has bought Fox, and they've seemed to have put this movie now on every year during the Freeform 25 Days of Christmas thing. So it is slowly but surely starting to find an audience again, and I'm glad it is, because it's a very underrated movie. It's one of John Hughes' more underrated movies from the time after the Home Alone movies came out. I think it's a very good, well-made film. If you didn't get to see it this past Christmas, I say definitely check it out this holiday season, because you actually might be missing out on something very unique and very creative. It's a nicely made film, and it does make some changes that actually do kind of work to what they're trying to do here, and I think it works very well. I'd highly recommend checking out Miracle on 34th Street. With that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is the animated feature, The Swan Princess.
Maybe I should just try the first line until you're sure that the attitude's right.
I think we need to start laying him down.
Okay, let's try that.
John Cleese, 22, take 1.
We are paying this respected professional
Any more comments before I start running?
to act like a fraud.
How do I get myself talked into these things?
A frog who thinks he's a prince,
Voila! They call me Your Highness.
trying to save a swan.
Hold up!
To the rescue, mademoiselle!
A swan who's really a princess.
Princess Odette.
And that's just for starters. The Swan Princess, featuring the voices of John Cleese,
Sure, go on, gendarme! Race to your death!
Sandy Duncan,
No, it can't be.
Jack Palance,
Had to be sneaky, didn't you?
and Stephen Wright. In a fresh spin on a classic fairy tale.
Odette.
Derek.
A magical musical animated adventure. The Swan Princess.
Would you believe me if I told you the same person that directed this movie also did Alpha and Omega? You probably wouldn't, but yeah, he did. And actually, before this movie, The Swan Princess, he was actually working. He was actually one of the people who worked at Disney. Like, he started his career off in the mailroom in the '70s, and then he was chosen to do assistant directing on such works as such films as Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, The Rescuers, Pete's Dragon, The Small One. He co-directed The Fox and the Hound. He directed The Black Cauldron. He's a notable director, and he definitely shows that he has worked at Disney before, because they do a pretty good job of kind of mimicking the Disney feel for the most part here with the animation here. It's nice animation. I just wish there was a better story to tell with it, and a better story, better songs, just better characters overall, because the characters in this movie really are not that creative or interesting. Like, you have a good cast here that includes Jack Palance, John Cleese, Stephen Wright, Sandy Duncan, and most of these characters do not fit the roles that they're in whatsoever. And the main characters themselves, Odette and Derek, are not really all that investing or all that exciting. But it really doesn't work. I think the animation is the best thing about the movie, but everything else about it just kind of makes it forgettable. Like, it doesn't really have a good soundtrack. The songs are not that great or memorable. The villain's not a memorable character. The actors in here, they're trying their best, but the characters just aren't fun to watch whatsoever. It's a bore of a film for the most part. And despite that, this movie should have done better. I mean, this movie came out around the holidays. It only made $9 million off a $21 million budget, and it's not like anybody else was putting anything out. I mean, it wasn't like Disney decided to just try to screw with them and re-release the biggest movie of all time at that point.
It's the motion picture that made history. Most successful animated movie of all time. This holiday season, the excitement begins again. Disney Pictures presents a very special encore celebration. The Lion King. The magic is back. The roar returns. One final time, The Lion King. Returning to theaters everywhere, November 18th.
Oh yeah, they did just that. They actually put The Lion King out back in theaters for the holiday season, and I heard that what actually happened was a Goofy movie was supposed to come out on the same weekend, but because there were some problems in the editing process and the animation, they actually pushed it back to spring. But come on, man, you know exactly what they would do. They had The Lion King out there. It was the holiday season. It was still in theaters in some areas, and they said, you know what? Let's put it back in theaters again. And it's like, I don't think they really were afraid that this movie was actually going to make a mark at the box office as big as theirs, but that's still kind of petty on Disney's part to do just that, to put a re-release of The Lion King out on the same weekend as this. It's just like, you know what you were doing, and hey, it worked. Lion King actually made twice as much as The Swan Princess did on its opening weekend, so mission accomplished, I guess. But yeah, that was kind of a dick move on their part. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I got to say about The Swan Princess. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is To Live.
3 decades in the life of a family. They must face the pain of loss. They'll find hope in the promise of their children. And they will struggle with the chaos of revolution.
So here you have another Chinese dramatic film, directed by Zhang Yimou. We've looked at a couple of his movies before. He's best known for working on the movie Hero. The film basically follows a couple who are going through the tumultuous periods of modern Chinese history, from the Chinese Civil War in the 40s to the Cultural Revolution. After going through these enormous personal difficulties and tragedies, the couple survives and endures, witnessing the vast changes of modern China. And that's pretty much all I know about it, because I have not seen this movie, and I just read that description off of the Wikipedia page. I mean, the visual looks pleasing, and it does, and these movies do look pretty good. I just never really have any real interest to actually go out and see them, but I would probably go see this movie if I had a chance to. I think it looks like it could be a decent film, and I wish I had more to say about that one, but that's pretty much all I got for you on that one. So I will say that some notable things about this movie: the film was actually denied a theatrical release in China because of the critical portrayal of various policies and campaigns of the government, such as the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution. But the film has been made available in China for years now through streaming websites, so you want to watch it, go stream it. I guess that's probably your best way to see it. But yeah, so that's To Live. So let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures.
They were 2 young girls living in a world of imagination.
I'm going to the 4th world. It's an absolute paradise of music, art, and pure enjoyment.
What they had was friendship.
What a disgrace you are!
Your mother is rather a miserable woman.
What they needed was freedom.
Do you like your mother?
No.
What they shared was a secret.
Your daughter's been behaving in a rather disturbed manner.
What's she done?
I think I'm going crazy. I'm sure it's perfectly innocent.
The crime that shocked the nation.
People die every day. Only the best people fight against all obstacles in pursuit of happiness. Paul thought it up. Aren't you clever? We're not going to be separated.
She's uncontrollable.
Based on a true story.
It's all frightfully romantic.
Heavenly Creatures.
This is actually one of the few Peter Jackson movies I have never seen. This is based off of the notorious 54 Parker Home murder case in Christchurch. The film focuses on these 2 girls played by Kate Winslet and Melanie Linsky. It culminates in the murder of Parker's mother. The events span the period between 1952 and the murders in 1954. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie, so I unfortunately can't really comment on it too much, but it's Peter Jackson, and I probably will see it at some point. But the visuals in here look very interesting, and it looks like a very, very weird, very bizarre-looking film that kind of works to Jackson's strengths as a filmmaker. Visually pleasing to look at, while also having this dark style to it. And, yeah, like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it, but it's one I definitely want to check out at some point, since I like Peter Jackson's work, so yeah, unfortunately, that's another quick one on this one, Heavenly Creatures. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll look at Thanksgiving weekend 1994. 6 movies to look at, including Ivan Reitman's Jr. with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito, and Emma Thompson. Keenan Ivory Wayne starring in the action comedy A Low Down Dirty Shame. Macaulay Culkin starring in The Pagemaster. Paul Newman in Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle. Love and a 45, and The Beans of Egypt, Maine. So 6 movies to look at next time. We'll look at those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.